Hey guys, ChuckFang13 here, and welcome back to part 2 of my subscribe video. I'm sorry I did not come out with this video the day after I made the first one, um, but I've been busy over the weekend, so yeah. So basically, to recap what has happened so far in the story, um, Steve, this is a Minecraft story, kind of like spun into reality almost, just a little bit. Steve spawned into Minecraft not knowing where he was from or who he was, only that his name was Steve. And Brian found him and taught him how to survive in Minecraft. And he built a little cave, and then he saw a Enderman, but he didn't know that it was called like what it was called. And he made the mistake of looking at it in the eye. So that's where we left off, basically. The monster immediately opened his big mouth, and his purple eyes turned bloody red, and the monster gave chase to Steve. Startled by the change of attitude, Steve started to run and got in his cave just in time. The tall monster could not fit in there, so Steve slowly killed it with his sword. The monster dropped this strange green pearl-like object. Steve didn't know what this thing was. He decided to call it an ender pearl, since he named the creature who dropped it an enderman. The reason he called it this was because once you look it in the eye, they might end you. Yeah, that's a little cliche, but I'm sorry. He did not know what to do with this thing. He tried using it as a weapon, which did not work. He tried crafting it with stuff, which also didn't work. Finally, he tried throwing. Steve maybe thought it would spawn an Enderman, but he threw it far and high. Just as he began to go get it, he got teleported to the Ender Pearl. He was happy he could still see his house. Steve marveled at the Ender Pearl. He knew he could use this as a very good escape plan. Steve went into his mine and kept digging until he heard this hissing noise. Steve thought this noise was coming from in front of him, so he kept mining. 2 stones later, he heard an explosion and he thought it was Herobrine again. It was not TNT because the explosion was bigger. Steve remembered seeing a flash of green before the explosion. He did not know what happened, but he knew that if he saw a green creature, he would have to be careful. He went outside, hunted a few cows, and went outside while the meat was cooking. Okay, I'm sorry, that was kind of worded wrong. Right there, guarding some pigs' food, was a green creature with no legs. Wait, no legs? What? I meant to put no arms. I'm sorry, I wrote this a couple years ago and I wasn't really as smart as I am now. Um, Steve kept his distance and knew once the creature started hissing that this monster is what almost killed him. Steve decided to call this monster a creeper because it creeps up on people and explodes. Steve quickly killed the creeper before he could explode, and he got gunpowder from the body. Steve killed some pigs and went and cooked up the meat and had a rather luxurious meal. He decided it was time to build an actual house. Steve also wanted it to be connected to his cave so he wouldn't have to move too much of his stuff. He had plenty of stone, wood, and dirt to make a house. He decided he wouldn't use the dirt to make a house, so he left the dirt in his chest. Steve decided to make the house with a wood floor, stone walls, and a checker mix of stone and wood for his ceiling. Steve wanted to get windows so he put some sand in the fire, and sure enough, he got some clean, neat glass. So he put the oh, sorry. Sorry about that. He put the glass in certain parts of the wall to act as windows. Steve thought that his house was good and clean. He moved his bed to his house and kept his other stuff in his cave/mine. He started to get very tired from not sleeping for 3 days straight, so he slept in his bed and had good dreams. Steve woke up feeling refreshed and confident, ready to explore. He wanted to try and find some obsidian, so Steve went down to his mine and started branching off his main mine. Soon he reached this massive cave system that collided with dungeons, ravines, and even mine shafts. He ran into some lava and sometimes water, but never found obsidian between them. Finally, he got what he was looking for. Steve found water clashing with lava, which made obsidian. The reason Steve wanted obsidian was so he could go to the nether, which is kind of like another world. It had different monsters in different terrain and has a bunch of stuff needed for brewing potions to make Steve stronger. He needed to get his diamond pick because only diamond picks work on obsidian. He went and got it and got about 15 pieces of obsidian, which was just enough to make a portal. He he made the formation of a portal that Herobrine explained to him, but he never got it to work. Maybe there's a way to activate it, Steve thought. He tried all the things he could, but never got it to work. He just gave up and decided to cook some food that he got from a cow. Steve put it in the furnace and put some coal in the fuel tank and waited. While he was waiting, Steve heard this strange hissing noise coming from the portal outline. Steve saw that every time a spark of the fire would fly into the portal would activate for a small time. Fire, Steve thought. Fire is what sparks the portal. He remembered that Herobrine told him that flint and steel couldn't cause fires. Steve had plenty of iron, but he couldn't find the flint. He had gravel, maybe that would work. So he took down his gravel, and as soon as he did, he didn't get gravel, but sure enough, he got some flint. So he made the flint and steel and sparked the portal. Steve saw this purple particle engulf the fire and soon take over the whole portal. Steve entered the portal for a second. It made him dizzy. For a second, it made him dizzy. But when he came out the other end, Steve felt pleasant and rested. He most positively did not feel safe. This place was like a copy of his world, underworld version over 9,000. He spawned in his same old house, but it was made of different materials, underworld materialists. It was made of the flammable red version of dirt and some stone, but also red. His mind was kind of distorted since there wasn't exactly the same properties there, but it looked real. Herobrine told Steve of this land, but only mentioned the name and the way to get there. Steve saw a floating figure that had a baby-like face, but it was far away and Steve could not make out every exact detail. He also saw some creatures that looked like zombies, but they weren't growling, they were oinking. He turned to get a better look at them with his sword in hand. Steve discovered the pigmen were peaceful. They had a gold sco- the, They had a gold sword and pants. What? Also, he wondered why they got those since Herobrine told them there were no caves in the Nether, as Steve started to call it. St- Steve decided to go back to his real home, so he went home and cooked some food and slept. The next morning, Steve woke up to the sound of an Enderman outside. He saw that there was an abnormal amount of them for some reason. He wanted to just leave them, but they were so annoying. He went outside and killed them one by one, and about halfway through, he had 10 pearls in 5 of their eyes. He thought it was disgusting that he had the eyes, but they just seemed to want to show him something. He finished killing the Enderman and was happy that there wasn't any more because if there was, he would definitely faint. Steve limped back home and took a seat on his makeshift couch and ate some rotten zombie meat because he had no time to cook meat. Once he felt recuperated enough, Steve wanted to see what the Eye of Enderman does. Steve did the whole process that he did with the Ender Pearl. He got to the end, yet again nothing worked. So he threw it, and instead of hitting the ground, the eye flew up. Okay, when it says he got to the end, it doesn't mean he actually got to the end, as you will see here in a bit. Steve could tell immediately that the eye was trying to lead him somewhere, so he got some armor and tools and followed. He followed the eye until it turned red and fell. He picked it up, and on instinct, Steve decided to mine straight down. Steve soon hit these stone bricks and thought he was at a dungeon. It turns out it was some sort of stronghold building underground. Steve almost wanted to pack up and move into this thing, but he decided not to because of the lack of food and extra monsters appearing in the caves. Steve explored the stronghold and found nothing but a few chests, some iron, gold, and even some diamonds. But after about 20 minutes, Steve found this area with a frame of a portal, but bigger, different, and hanging over lava. He made sure he had enough gear and armor and decided to hop in. He expected the nether area, but got something way different than he could ever dream. He found a replica of his world, but it was in a void and filled with Endermen. There were only 2 bricks in this place, and there was something else he called Endstone because there was a bunch of Endermen, and there was obsidian pillars. He decided to put the word end in front of everything. He even named the place the end. Suddenly he saw a black dragon that looked like an Enderman, but in dragon form. It spewed out fire like a normal dragon, but when he tried to hit it with a bow and arrow, it did not work. Steve was happy to see the Endermen were passive unless he looked at them, so he only looked at the Ender Dragon. He could not hit it with a sword or a bow because neither would hurt it, so he looked around for some sort of power source. Sure enough, there were 5 crystals that looked like they were attached to the dragon by a faint string or something. Steve took a shot by blind faith and shot one crystal. The dragon immediately wailed in pain, for the crystals were its power source. So Steve shot the other crystals. Each time the dragon lowered and wailed in more pain. The dragon dove for the ground and hit the ground hard. Steve hesitated to strike the final blow because the dragon was just a creature protecting its citizens. Steve guessed since they all just looked like a big community, but Steve let his guard down and that's when the dragon hit. Steve flew all the way across the area and hit a obsidian pillar. He was about to faint when his life was in danger, but something else happened. Something flashed before Steve's eyes and all he could see was static like white. It was as if he was looking into a bright, broken TV. Steve woke up on his bed, but he still had all his items. He looked around and saw nothing out of the ordinary. He went outside to get some quick meat to eat, and while he was doing that, he ended up where he dropped into this strange world. He looked around to see if there were any more traps, but there wasn't that he could see. He looked up and found Herobrine just standing there. Something looked different about him. Herobrine looked burned and scratched. Steve was starting to get an idea on what happened in the end. Or who happened. "You're the one who saved me?" asked Steve almost positively. Blah, almost positively. "Yep, I am, but it was no biggie. I just didn't want to lose my prank key," Herobrine said. Steve felt happy but also worried that he had trip or something all around him. "Don't worry, there isn't any traps here. Yet," Steve said, as if reading Steve's mind. Herobrine said as if reading Steve's mind. "Okay, but how did you save me in the end? I didn't hear or see you at all. All I saw was a flash of light, and I was home." Steve didn't even though deep down he already said, even though deep down he already knew the answer to it. "I kind of possessed you for a bit. Like I said, I didn't want my pranky to die," Herobrine said. "But how did you, or me, we defeat the Ender Dragon?" Steve said. Herobrine said, "We didn't defeat him. He just gave up." "He gave up? Why would he give up?" "I don't know, Steve. I guess he was just tired of fighting people." "Why am I here?" Steve asked almost positively that Herobrine knew the answer. "You were sent here to save us from the dragon, but I guess he was going to give up anyway." "Wait a minute. Who is us?" "I thought you said we were the only 2 people." Herobrine told Steve, "We are the only people. But the animals have lives here too, and even the monsters do." Steve told Herobrine, "Okay, wow. I wish I could keep up the chat, but I'm tired and I need to sleep and eat." "Fine, go eat and sleep. We are pretty much done here anyways, but I warn you, Steve, my pranks will come back, and your problem is you don't know when," Herobrine said with a malicious smile. Steve went back to his home and cooked some of the meat and killed some of the monsters that were coming out of his mind and blocked it off. He ate the pork and went to bed. Steve decided he might actually begin to get used to the place. Steve had done all the stuff Herobrine told him. He went to the Nether at the end, and he made up a mind that was pretty big. Since Steve was stuck here, he decided to just keep moving on. The end. This is not a place, this is the end. No, 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 this is not a place, this is where the story is finished. That's a little side note I put. Okay, so thank you for watching the video. Sorry for that little loud burst. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for 1,000 views. I know at the beginning of this video I said 1,000 subscribers, but thank you for 1,000 views. That is really cool to me. And yeah, so if you like this video or like the story, or just like me in general, like, comment, and join the storm. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.